Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76, my original channel. First of all, please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Well, today is August 25th. 2020. This is my birthday, and so I want to say happy birthday to me. As my dad, I think my dad usually tells me that I actually wasn't born until 4:30 in the morning. Back in Albany, New York. I'm in Buffalo right now. And I grew up in Buffalo, but I was actually born in our state capital, which is Albany. My brother, who I shout out a lot in my video, and he's been pretty instrumental in my YouTube journey. He was born out west in, I believe, Tacoma, Washington, because my father was in the military. He was in the Army for a short stint, and my mother wanted to be closer to family, so he always talks about how, he doesn't always talk about how, but he's shared that he would have been okay staying out west, and but she wanted to come back east. And so it's interesting when you think about your life and you think about your life on your birthdays. I could have been a West Coast kid. Both me and my brother could have been We could have been West Coast kids growing up in the Pacific Northwest. But as our destiny would have it, we grew up here in Buffalo. So this video is going to be more of a stream of consciousness. And just like the term ramble, I'm borrowing that from BGS Ibmore, who has been a very avid supporter of my content on this channel. Some of the content coming from my sports channel, and much of the content on my science channel. And I want to personally thank him for that. He's not only become a supporter, but also a hero, and I'd even say a mentor. Another content creator named Kevin Samuels, the image guy, he often says that you have two families: the family that you're born into, and then as you set out on your own, you can form other families. And in this YouTube space, I like to think that I've become a part of another family, a family that includes BGS Ibmore and Nicole Ali. Shout out to Nicole and Don Calypso and Art of Ibmore and Officer Charles Faulkner. I've become a part of that tribe, and I'm happy to be a part of that tribe. But this is a stream of consciousness. This is unscripted. It's my birthday. I'm in Buffalo, and I don't want to spend the entire day at the computer writing and editing and creating videos. But I thought that it's my birthday, so it's worth shooting something. And after I stop this, I'm probably gonna go out to the park somewhere here in Buffalo, sit out on my lawn chair and sip and read and think and reflect and generate ideas. And I'm hoping that here on my mother's street, the windows here, so I'm hoping no one rides by blaring their music. That does happen in Buffalo sometimes, but usually not at this time of day unless it's a holiday. But this is a stream of consciousness and just random thoughts. This is unscripted, no bullet points, no nothing. Around this time of year, Well, first of all, it's an interesting time. We have the election coming up. We're somewhere in the coronavirus COVID-19 crisis / pandemic. And if everything was the way that it was, I'd be out in Phoenix, Arizona right now, because my best friend lives in Phoenix, Arizona. And we had created a tradition where my brother and myself would fly out to Phoenix, and we'd have a guys' weekend, and we, sit and drink and tell old stories. And my best friend, who is going to be coming to the YouTube streets pretty soon, he barbecue for us. He's a master barbecue. I want to call him a pit master, but he doesn't have a pit in the back of his unit. But he's a master barbecuer. I don't know if that's the right word for it, barbecuer. A master griller. He makes really good ribs that are very seasoned and that are very tender, and you don't have to put sauce on his ribs. But in any case, if not for COVID-19, I'd be out west right now. We'd be hanging out inside all day, drinking and watching videos and talking and telling old stories, and then we wouldn't come out until nighttime because it's so scorching out there in the Arizona desert. But this time of year, around birthdays, you think about a lot. You think about your past, you think about your present, and you think about your future. And as I was driving, I heard a stream by Officer Charles Faulkner, and he had some of the other guys up there, like Art of Ibmore and Beasley, and I believe it was Chaos Rain who he was doing the show with. And I think the name of that stream was "Where Are the Good Black Men At?" And that was a question asked by a charlatan named Cynthia G, who's always attacking black men and claiming that black men are dominated, and that black men don't build anything, and that black men are dominated by white supremacy, and so on and so forth. So Charles wanted to speak on that and say that there are good black men out here, effective black men who build, were just overlooked. And I told the guys on the panel, and I told BGS a week or so ago, that I was getting ready to come to Buffalo and to have discussions about that with my mother, in terms of why I'm not married and why I'm childless, and my brother is the same way. And it turns out that there are quite a few black men who are like us, and that's in large part due to probably, I'll say, political and social changes in the landscape that were set into motion going as far back as the 60s and the 70s. So a lot of what we're seeing right now in terms of feminism and black male incarceration rates, and the breakdown of what black couples and relationships used to be, and gender roles, a lot of these things were set into motion years ago. And we Gen Xers and the Gen Zers and those coming after us, we're trying to figure everything out. We're trying to piece everything back together, and we're trying to figure out how to make the best of this world that we've inherited. And many of us men are realizing that what we were left, and the things that were set into motion, the social changes, the teaching that men and women are equal, and that in our community, the teaching that women should go focus on their educations first without giving thoughts to being wives and partners. All of this has created, and also the portrayal of certain images in the media, the Cardi B's, the Meg Thee Stallions, the Obamas, the fantasy. Last night I was thinking about the fantasy image that the Obamas created for black couples. I was thinking about that last night as I was approaching Western New York in my car, and I was thinking all of these things have created one big clusterfuck. Excuse my French, but it's my birthday. And a lot of us are figuring out what to do and how to handle it and what we're going to do with our own lives. And we're having to make decisions that are different than our parents, and we're thinking about things in a different way than our parents thought about their lives years ago. And in some ways we don't understand each other, and in some ways we don't agree, and they don't understand where things are now and why they are the way they are right now. And I'd say it's a rare set of baby boomers like BGS, Ibmore, and Beasley who understand the totality and the significance of what all is happening. And so, these trips home are always very interesting now because, it makes me think of, my past and my present and my future. And when I look at my past, and this was discussed on Charles' panel yesterday, a lot of us young black men, we didn't have other men around. And I know that's kind of painful and annoying for me to bring up when I'm talking with my mother about where we are right now and why she doesn't have grandchildren and those kinds of things. But it's real. There are things, my personal experience was that just getting my college education and just getting my PhD was not enough. As a man, there are other core attributes that you have to have. You have to function on multiple levels. Shout out to the field master, Ron Wills. There are other elements you have to function on simultaneously to be what he calls a thorough brother, and so that you can become a quote-unquote select male. There are other things that you have to embody and embrace and internalize and to become a select male, and to become a male and a man that many of the women want, as opposed to a man that they're getting together with because you're safe, and so that you end up in a situation where you're being tolerated, or such that they're getting together with you and they're looking at you like a project, and they're looking at you as something that's safe and that they're with in the short term. There's a lot more that you need besides just being an upstanding man and getting your college education and holding down a job. My mother actually said that one time, because she always likes to pray. She's a spiritual woman, and she always likes to say a prayer before I depart back to now Virginia. She usually prays for safe travels, and she usually prays for me to find my home the way that I left it. And I did pray that. See, there's a car riding by right now blasting his music. It's like that in Buffalo. The east side of Buffalo is kind of like the hood, by the way. But I prayed for that before I left Northern Virginia last night, or yesterday afternoon, or late yesterday morning. But she prayed one time that, recently, that I raised my sons to be fine, upstanding young men. Well, you also need to learn some of the Ron Will's stuff. You have to have your ear to the streets. You have to develop your body game. You have to, going into the Kevin Samuels space, you have to learn how to put on a nice suit and raise your standard and get a feel for fragrances and those kinds of things. You have to learn how to refine yourself and cast yourself in the best light. You also have to learn some verbal game. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry, the Michael Jordan of direct verbal game. So there are so many other things that you have to pull together to be a man, and when figuring out how to walk the planet. Shout out to Dr. Robert Glover, and in the Black community, and even community socially and worldwide, you need to know where you fit into the whole ecosystem, and you have to know who you are and who your tribe is and what other people are thinking about when they look at you. Shout out to, again, BGS Ibmore and his octane scale. I think I told Art and Charles or someone else on a panel that BGS's octane scale was a game changer for me and my life, because you go through things, you set out into the world without a complete picture of what's happening around you and where you fit, and you start experiencing some things. Well, the octane scale, it explained damn near 90% of what I'd experienced in terms of dating and mating. And it just, and it's a lot of things that we don't talk about. There are a lot of things we're not open and honest about. And materials like BGS's octane scale, and even the discussions, the painful discussions that Kevin is having on his channel right now with many of his female callers and many of his male callers. This sheds a lot of light and understanding onto what I've experienced and what I'm experiencing and what we as Black Gen Xers have experienced in our lives. And it's, these are things, they're not comfortable discussions all the time. And with this election year, there's so many elements going on and that are going to feed into this election. I'm not going to get into that now, but the seeds of all these things that we're seeing right now in our communities and society wide, all these things were sown years ago. I want to thank everyone who has watched my content on this channel and on my other channels. I want to acknowledge my brother once again for all the game and the coaching he's given me on video production and what not to do and how to use Fillmore Wondershare. His knowledge and expertise has been invaluable in this experience, and I'm very, very excited to see where all of this goes. I have more things planned for my YouTube content. I have more things planned for my blogging platform, and I'm actually thinking about starting another blogging platform just for authors and writers, and I plan to finish my book project by the end of this year, and so look for more discussions on that, and look for me to gradually start unveiling that going forward. I'm going to close with some birthday thoughts. At this point, Facebook, I'm going to go into Facebook. Facebook has been around now for about 12 years. Facebook became big around 2008. that's when I remember my friend Danielle from Hamilton, Ontario, asking me, Anwar, are you on Facebook? By the way, here in Western New York, Buffalo, Niagara Falls, we're right on the Canadian border in terms of Southern Ontario. And so I think on one of either BGS's or Art of Ibmore's panels, there was a gentleman named Vision who is from Southern Ontario, and I told him, yeah, I'm from Western New York, and so I'm very familiar with Southern Ontario. But so we know people from Canada here, and we make friends with people from Canada and from Southern Ontario, and I'm certain the folks in Detroit do as well. But in any case, my friend Danielle, who I was very, very in love with when we first met, I think she's married now. A very, very attractive West Indian, a very attractive Canadian woman of West Indian descent. Speaking of my manhood journey, when she and I first met, I didn't know anything about. There were a lot of elements of being a man that I had to fill in, and that I didn't understand. A lot of elements of game, a lot of elements of confidence, and having a social confidence and those kinds of things. And I just didn't know how to express those elements and exist in my masculine energy at that time when she and I first met. And so when I think about my past, a lot of times you meet people and, you think back to women that you knew, who you would have liked to have talked to and you would have liked to have gone further with, but at that particular time when you meet people, I just did not have, it was a long distance thing, but I was not hitting on multiple levels to be able to talk to her, a cutie like that at that time. But in any case, she asked me right around 2008, Anwar, are you on Facebook? And that's when I got on Facebook. And that's right around the time when Facebook eclipsed MySpace, because prior to Facebook, MySpace was the thing. And it was around that time I was doing my postdoc out in Albany. I was staying with my father, and that tumultuous chapter was coming to a close. Dad might listen to this, but it was a tumultuous chapter, staying with my father for those 2.5 years for a number of reasons. One, which I'll never forget, but I was doing my postdoc in Albany at the Department of Health, and I was working in a research lab, a mostly Chinese research lab, and I'm still friends with many of those individuals today. And I will just say that I got involved in a fling with a younger white woman who was from the local area and who was from farm country north of the city of Albany. And I think it was a mutual curiosity thing, and I didn't understand enough about male-female relationships and flings, and to know that curiosity thing is there in both races and multiple races. And I did not understand enough about her life situation and the decisions she had made up to that point in her life. I think at that time she had 2 children by 2 different men, and I think she was young, and her mind was very chaotic and very very all over the place, and she'd experienced some emotional trauma from having those 2 children from those 2 different guys. And I was just telling my friends the other day, when you meet women, be mindful of the trauma that they've experienced. There are a lot of, in this instance, I'm a heterosexual male, so I only date women. But there are a lot of women, and I've experienced this, who've experienced a lot of emotional trauma. And so when you meet them, everyone is nice in the beginning. Everyone's pleasant in the beginning. And it takes a little while for crazy to come out. And I think going back to Kevin Samuel's show, I think this is one of the reasons why he's such a proponent of therapy. And that's, the way he articulates it. It's getting, at the very minimum, getting an emotional checkup. It isn't necessarily because you are crazy and going through something. It could be just an emotional checkup. And after watching his shows, I've thought about going just to get something like that. There was a therapist who helped me in the aftermath of a tumultuous relationship a couple of years ago. But in any case, me and this fling between this particular younger white female from a rural area north of the city of Albany, that was fun for a very short period of time, and then it went sour. And the other chaotic part was we were working in the same building, basically not in the same lab area, not in the same group, but in the same building. So there was the potential for us to run into one another, and we were talking a lot at one point, and then she cut off communication immediately at a certain point, which I wasn't prepared for because I was getting comfortable. And I learned that was my first time seeing how chaotic social media can be, because there was another female in that space who I think liked me, and there was a picture of me and that female on my MySpace page, and it was just, we were at a function that I had helped coordinate because I was in a salsa at the time, and me and this other female had taken a picture. That was it. I wasn't even attracted to this other female. But the woman I had the fling with, she said, well, why is this woman's page, why is this picture of you and her on your MySpace page? And I remember thinking, what does that matter? I'm not talking to her. I don't like her. But in her crazy little mind, because she saw the picture of me and this other person on my MySpace page, she either thought it meant something, or she wanted to use it as a means for breaking off communications with me. And that happens. I've seen that happen. You might start talking to someone, and without you knowing, they may start going through the photo album on your Facebook page just to see who's there, and just to see what you've been doing, and just to see who you've been with. So that was my first time experiencing that, and it really took me aback, and I didn't understand what was going on. But this person, when she cut me off the way she did, and today, knowing what I know now about all these things, I wouldn't deal with this person. But the way she cut me off, the way that she did, I felt really bad at that time. Even though I had a PhD, and this person, maybe graduated high school and maybe had taken some classes at a community college, I felt really bad. I felt really low surrounding the whole thing. And then an interesting thing happened. On my Facebook page, everyone started wishing me happy birthday. And I was like, wow, everybody is wishing me happy birthday. I am a likable guy. I do have friends. Even though this person over here just cut me off, there are other people who care about me. And so that's become one of the most fun parts of birthdays nowadays. Not the gifts, not getting money, though getting money is good. And I'm pretty wise with it these days. But just knowing that you're thought about, Facebook friends is a bit of a misnomer, because I don't talk to the majority of the people who are in my Facebook network personally very often. So, but it does mean something when people see your birthday and they acknowledge it and they check in. It might be once a year that they check in and do this for you, but it feels good when they do it. And then I will admit that I'm bad about leaving birthday wishes for everyone else. But, from that time in 2008, that birthday in 2008, during that tumultuous period to now, that's become a part of the birthday experience. So despite all the negativity that happens with Facebook, I've gotten in trouble for sharing clickbait, and people are blocking each other because of their political views now during this tumultuous election season. Facebook in some ways still does do some good. So I'm gonna stop here. This has already gone 30 minutes, and so I want to thank everyone for the birthday wishes. I'll probably throw this up on Facebook later on tonight after all of the birthday wishes have come through. Each year you live and you see people die off, you realize how fragile life is. And so I'm thankful for another year, and you never know when your time is. And I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do and furthering along the projects that I have planned in the next year. And whatever's meant to be will be, and whatever's not won't. And so I want to thank the Creator, whatever that is for you. And I'm going to stop this here. I'm gonna upload this and freshen up and go out to the park and sip and read and think and plan and veg out for a little while. So whoever listened to this stream of consciousness all the way to the end, I want to thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.